experience, but Mexico as a whole is very inspirational to me. I love agave spirits, seeing where they're made, seeing all the different ingredients and spices that some of the bartenders were using there. It's very inspirational to me. So Mexico. Japan is a place that is very special to me. I think the bartenders are out of control. I think their attention to detail is next level. I think it's one of the most amazing places that you can sit down at a bar and watch a bartender make a drink and it will blow your mind. I don't care if it's just like a whiskey highball or an old fashioned or whatever it is. They have this attention to detail when they are making drinks that I have not seen anywhere else in the world. So that's kind of like my top two places that just inspire me and I think are just, you know, near and dear to my heart, and places that have just totally blown my mind in what they're doing.
Okay. All right. So with that said, do you have any heroes? Do you have like top 3 heroes in the bartending industry? I mean, like you've traveled, you've met a lot of these bartenders. More or less you research who they are or what they did in the industry, you know. Do you have like a particular or a top 3 mentor that you considered in those stretch of beautiful booze?
I think that's really hard. I'll say this, like for the last 2 years, I've been to world-class competition, being media, but also as a judge there. So that's like a huge opportunity that I got, and just almost overwhelming. And I will say this year, like Banny blew me away. Like I literally was breathless watching her in the speed round challenge. And for people that don't know that, what that challenge is the bartenders in world class, they have to make like 12 different cocktails in a speed round as fast as they can. And I mean, it just blew my mind, like that was even humanly possible. Like she blew it out of the water. And I actually, at the media, we were able to ask her questions after she won. And I asked her, like, what did you do to prepare for this challenge? And she said, I didn't really. Like, she's just used to making and practicing those cocktails. It just blew my mind, the creative detail and the ability just to know all those cocktails and to make them like that. It just was insane to me.
Yeah, I love Bani Kang. She was my batchmate in the other competition, so she's always in the zone. You know, she's badass, and she deserved really to win the championship. In fact, we have in our viewers Lester Ligon. If you see that, he's one of our champions for world class. He was part of the Kettle One Challenge. I don't know if you remember that. He did this collaboration with one of our provinces where we have some rebels, the Marawi, and then he has a great cocktail because his ingredient, the palapa, which is like a chili, it's really very good. In fact, just a touch of that, you can already eat like 1.5 to 2 cups of rice. So it's a nice raw ingredient. And Lester's watching now. And okay, so apart from Bani, who else is there?
Yeah, I have another person that I recently met when I was in Asia, which is, you know, kind of close to Bani, which is Nick Wu, out of Taipei. The night before I was going to Taipei, I got introduced to him via Facebook, and he was like, yeah, you should come to my bars in Taipei. I had never been there before. I didn't know that much about the scene. It was a last-minute trip. You know, he took me to show me Taiwanese bubble tea and beef noodle, and just gave me the whole tour. And then I just him running his bars and the way that he bartended was just
Oh, he's fast. He's fast.
next
He's a machine.
level. Like,
Yes,
I
yes.
have two videos currently on my feed of him making cocktails, and I watch those all the time, and they just totally blow my mind. His skill level and his knowledge is just over the top.
Nice, nice. And your third one? So Bunny, Nick,
Oh
and
man, I might just have two right now. There's probably a third one that I'm gonna have to think about for a second.
okay, okay. All right. So, yeah, I mean, it's good. Okay, in Taiwan or Taipei, have you met Aki Wang? Aki Wang owns Indulge Experimental Bistro. So he's
Yes. I
yeah,
didn't
you
meet
met.
him. He wasn't able to be there when I was there. I did go there, but there was a lot of stuff going on at that point due to COVID-19. So like he was supposed to make it in, but then got held up for a meeting, so I didn't actually meet him.
Okay, so so now let's go to COVID now, the present situation.
Yeah.
Where were you that time? Where were you when COVID just started? Which country
So
were
I
you
was
at?
in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was doing a video, the bartending series in Tokyo, but I also did it in Kyoto. So I was in that area between Tokyo and Kyoto.
Okay, and then when you heard that there was COVID, so did you fly back there immediately, or was there an advice by Japan or?
I mean, I was watching the news and I didn't really know what to do. So I started in Japan and then I went to Taipei because there wasn't really anyone shutting down borders or saying don't
Yeah.
travel. So I went and then I was there for about a week. This was probably beginning of March or end of February. And then I went to Singapore for a week. And then once I got to Singapore, I was supposed to go to cover media for the 10th anniversary of the Angostura bartending competition in Trinidad
Yeah.
and Tobago. And I just couldn't do it. I felt uncomfortable being in a place where I could or could not have the virus. I didn't have the
Yeah.
virus, but at that time they were saying that you could have it and you may not know it. You could
Mm-hmm.
spread it to other people and you may not know it. So at that point, I canceled the travel I had. After I did some videos in Singapore, I flew back to the US.
I see. Okay, so during a shoot or during a visit, I'm just curious. Do you have any pet peeves? Like doing because we have that all of us have that, right? Like I've been always asking our bartender guests also, like when they work behind the bar or managing a bar, like do you have like pet peeves on that? But you as a home bartender and maybe social media, well, your shoot photographer, etc., do you have some qualms or
I mean, I have like one, but it's not like a big deal. I totally get like the modern role of like not having like a garnish on a cocktail, but I want to showcase the most beautiful cocktail from the venue that I can as possible. So I love obviously venues that will do garnish a cocktail, but like I don't know if that's a pet peeve. Like I don't know, when I get a cocktail and it doesn't have a garnish, like I'm just so garnish focused, I want one, but I totally respect the bartender's like idea and creativity and why they may or may not have a garnish. It
okay.
feels very trivial, but yeah.
Okay, but so how's this? Tell me this. Like mint leaves, for example. So what if you can't really find a good mint leaves? Like each leaf, for example, has this bite of a bug, or it's black, or like that's your most. Let's say you're gonna shoot a mojito, right? And you need mint leaves, but are you gonna go with it even if you really can't find a good quality mint leaf, or are you gonna buy a fresh one, or how does that work?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, because sometimes that happens even if we don't like to have that batch of mint leaves. It has a hole, it has a bug that bit it. So, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Um, all right, so let's go to our audience. So, guys, if you have questions, feel free. So far, I think it's a mix of your friends and mine. Guys, welcome to Quick Q. Okay, Lester has a question. What could be the biggest
Yeah.
pivot for the industry, and how are we gonna be able to adapt quickly to the new normal? That's by Lester. So, yeah, I think that follows up since we're talking about COVID now. So, what do you think is next? So, what happens next?
I mean, I think for me here in the US, it's hard to say, like, especially since, I'm not obviously sitting here thinking about opening back a venue because I'm at home and that's what I do. But, here in the US, it's been pretty bad. And we're such a big country. It's very interesting. The different states are deciding when we're opening. So it's not like literally a streamlined opening here. I think it's going to be interesting on how this works. Tiered system where they're talking about maybe only letting the restaurants go to 50 and bars go to 50% capacity at a time. So that seems very difficult, coming off, obviously going to work into a bar and only making about 50% than you would. Obviously, that's better than nothing. But at the
Yes.
same time, I think for bar owners here, especially in the U.S., in a place like Seattle that has very, very, very high rents, and a lot of places may have rents and their leases coming up where landlords may or may not increase rents. I think it's going to be really hard for those bars to come back financially. I mean, that seems harsh, but that's the reality here in the U.S. We're such
Yes.
a big
Yes.
population. Some places are opening, some places aren't. It's become a political issue. It's very difficult. It's, I don't know. It's such a big country, and we're trying to figure out what's going to be best for everybody all the way around.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if you've heard the news. Pegu Club in New York just closed down after 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's institution in the New York bartending scene. But
Yep.
rent really is the killer. I mean, number one killer in the business, especially with if the rates are high. And same thing in the Philippines. But we do still have some cities that have low rent. So on the positive side, I think those that have lower overhead expenses can wing it. But it's still a question mark. So maybe my next question is, because how is the cocktail delivery there? Like the
Yeah.
mm,
So Washington, Seattle is in Washington State. Washington is a open state, which essentially means that it's not run by the government. So it's easy for us. Well, we have the ability to do takeout and delivery cocktails.
mm-hmm,
So that is running here. It's big. It's running here. And the question previously was the biggest pivot. I think now that bars are implementing these takeout and delivery cocktails, that may be something that they're able to keep, that it's a creative pivot that we didn't have previously going on. So that
mm,
may be helpful for income coming in, which
mm-hmm,
wasn't something that was done previously. But here
mm-hmm.
in Seattle, there is everything from single cocktail kits to cocktail kits you can make 16 cocktails with. And
All right.
it's a big thing happening here, as well as restaurants offering wine. So If you were to order food out from a restaurant, you could also order wine. And there's over 400 restaurants offering delivery and takeout here in Seattle.
Wow. Okay. So there are choices. Okay. We have a question, but just to tell you, if in case we're cut because we're almost in our 1 hour, so
Yeah.
I'll just save it and reset it so that we can wrap things up for the second video. Okay.
Okay.
So Rents with Benefits has a question. What can you suggest to bartenders that will have problems retaining their jobs after the pandemic? Because I think where this is coming from, like not all countries have like government plan. Like like in New York, if the bar closes, government takes care of its employees and whatnot. I think here we don't really have a solid plan by the government. But what can you suggest to us?
I mean, here in the U.S., essentially, I only know Washington State. It's like the U.S. operates basically 50 different countries because they all do everything differently. Here in Washington State, essentially, bartenders should be able to have government benefits until December.
Okay.
So that's what's running here. This is a very hard question. I don't know. Like, I don't know if things need to be creative where people have to get other jobs to make it work for a certain period of time till the industry comes back up. That's a very difficult question. I don't know. It's very difficult to kind of foreshadow that.
Okay, so here's a follow-up, but thank you for that. So, Renz, I hope you heard the answer of Natalie. Here's a follow-up question of Lester. So, before I read this question of Lester, so Natalie, how do you consider yourself? So, who is Natalie in the industry? Do you consider yourself I'm Natalie, the home bartender, or simply Beautiful Booze? And people will figure out what Beautiful Booze is.
I mean, essentially, my company is Beautiful Booze. For me, I tend to say, like, I write about the industry and cocktails as well as a photographer. I mean, those
media. So you're media, basically. You're bar media. Okay, cool. All right, so going back to Lester, so as a personality on the socials, if bars were to lean towards to go cocktails, do you think strengthening their social media could help? And if yes, do you have some tips?
Yes, I think 100%. So I think some of the tips, it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's like looking at to some other bars that are doing this very successfully. I would say one example is going to social media, because you need to build your audience during this time, because you can convert followers into customers. And putting up this information on social media, people are at home, they're in quarantine, they're spending all their time on social media. There's a lot of people on social media. Hanky Panky Bar is a very great bar in Mexico City. If you go to their social media, it's Hanky Panky on Instagram, you will see them promoting their to-go cocktails, and they've done a really good job. They will put all of their cocktails in their feed, also their stories, and they have a saved highlight on Instagram, so their audience can click through that highlight and see all of their cocktail offerings. So I think it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's like looking at what other people are doing and how you can replicate that to your audience. And Hanky Panky is a great example. They're doing great marketing and media for their to-go cocktails.
Nice. Okay, Lester, so that's Natalie's take. Yeah, I mean, it's really a test of creativity on how to reach your audience. But here, like I said, the cocktail to go business is getting known. But we hopefully in the next few years, if this is the new normal, the reach of it to the consumer would be bigger than compared now. Because like each country, like US versus Philippines, for example, you have more guys or people that were accustomed to cocktails ever since, as compared here, wherein, of course, we love drinking so much, no doubt about it. But the way we enjoy cocktails and being familiar with to go cocktails is a fairly new concept. And yeah, I think marketing, social media, and but we love social media. In fact, we're number one, I think, in the world, apart from China, maybe, who's into Facebook and what have you. So, yeah, I think it can be a big help. Okay, maybe yeah, we have 5 minutes before we're cut, so let's go to the next question. Okay, I have a question. That's about work again. Was there ever a time, because you're traveling, right? So tell us about maybe one or two experience where you had done, not every day is a good day, right? So let's say you're
Mhm.
going to one country, and was there ever, I don't know, sorry, maybe you want to forget that, but just for the experience, was there ever a travel wherein it's like nothing's going in your way, like, did that ever happen, or was it always a smooth travel for you?
No, there's definitely with travel something happening all the time, whether it's delayed flights, missed. I mean, I've been through the whole gamut of missed flights, missed trains, and not on my own regard. I make sure I get there in time. It's just these things happen. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, for me, the biggest obstacle was creating content on the go, traveling. Each place I went to, I needed to try to find glassware. I needed to try to find a space where I can shoot cocktails, and that was a big obstacle for me, being on different time zones, trying to grow my business while traveling, and every single day trying to figure out where I'm going to sleep that night is something that I don't actually miss at the moment, because now I'm actually in a stable place and I feel pretty secure about what I can do on a daily basis. But things like that, not being able to actually do my job in certain places, what has been difficult.
Okay. Okay, we talked about camera. Do you also bring like bulbs or flash? Because you were talking about lighting, right? So do you have
Yeah.
that in your kit?
Recently, within the past year, I mean, I've always shot on natural light almost 100%, but recently we did add a flash, pro photo flash to the equipment, just because in bars, it's very difficult to shoot. They're
Rico.
really dark, and you do need some kind of lighting source.
Okay, all right. Yeah, yeah. I figured because, yeah, you're correct. Not all bars have the same lighting, and sometimes, unless you do the editing or the contrast, the saturation, etc., then, yeah. Okay. Let's go back to our audience before we wrap up, guys. Do you have any more questions? Okay, wait. Let me check now. How many? Because the signal here, for like I was telling you a while ago, it's erratic, especially last night. Okay. Okay, somebody's asking if you were Joe. Okay, guys, welcome back. So let's just wait for Natalie. So we'll answer. Well, we asked Joseph's question. If you were a cocktail, what cocktail would you be? Welcome, Ma'am C. Okay, for those who just entered now, yeah, you can check the recorded interview by tomorrow. So welcome again to Toma Sessions Live. So I hope you had a very good lunch. Okay, let's just wait for Natalie. We're going to have just once a week Toma session. I think every Wednesday. So at least you guys will make it. Okay, there you go. Welcome back, Natalie.
Sorry, I thought that was the one
Okay.
we just recorded. It was really weird. I was like, I didn't know what to do. So sorry for the delay.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, I checked. We had 190 viewers apparently. So
Wow.
it just didn't reflect here in the live itself. But yeah, great, great, great. Okay, so if you were a cocktail, what cocktail would you be?
So one of my favorite cocktails is a daiquiri, and I actually, when traveling around the world, sometimes I would ask the bartender to make me a destination daiquiri, which is what I would call it, with some kind of local ingredient. So when I was in Spain, the bartender made me like a daiquiri with some sherry. So I love ordering some type of daiquiri bartender choice to make me something creative.
Okay, yeah. Well, same. High five. Yeah, daiquiri is pretty simple, but it's also one of the cocktails that you can easily mess up. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do agree on you with that one. In fact, okay, but how does that work? Because um, there's two sides to a daiquiri: garnish or without garnish. So so
I
talking about
mean, I don't know. I feel like when I order a daiquiri, I more or less am in the mindset of not working, which is like I
Okay,
probably
okay.
may not be taking a photo of it. I don't know.
All right,
Like,
all right. So come
you know
what
what I
may.
mean?
Yeah. I don't care. I just need a daiquiri. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So maybe one last question before we close. Oh, Rebecca in the house. Rebecca Sturt, brand ambassador of Chase Vodka in Dubai. So welcome, Rebecca. Okay, and Lester's back also. Okay, I think I wanted to ask one more question. Okay, you were mentioning this is something just to pick on your brain. If you weren't in this situation wherein push came to shove, right, in the beginning of our conversation,
Hmm.
would you have been still in the government?
Probably. I'm gonna tell you that I really like my job because I helped people and I could see a immediate impact of helping people. So my previous job was very fulfilling in that way. And my boss was amazing. So yes, if we had not lost our funding for our department, I would probably still be working there.
Okay, so maybe I'm toying with this concept that maybe you have the potential to run for office in North Carolina, huh? Because well, since you're, I mean, that's no nothing. I'm just playing with my brain a little bit because since you're in the government, nothing is impossible. Because even I was having some conversation with friends, no, here in the Philippines. Okay, at least some of our friends can hear it. We don't really have a party list because in the states it's different. It's two-party system, right? In this country we have congressmen and senators and a president and a vice president basically. So but we don't really have a party list, meaning a representative of a certain sector. So I'm not talking politics here, but I mean, in a perfect world, we wanted the hospitality guys to be, or people to be represented, so at least they can address the needs of the frontliners, basically, because like you were mentioning a while ago, the sad reality that we face, sad and weird reality that we face after COVID, is this social distancing, where it doesn't make sense. You go to a bar to actually be close to people, not to distance yourself, right? So it's kind of weird, like you're 6 feet apart, and hey, how are you? How's your drink there, right? So and you can't even, I don't know, you can't even probably pass your drink to your friend to taste it if it's good, or you can't, I don't know if you're allowed to switch drinks. So yeah, it's something that remains to be seen. And I've talked with some of our guests, like in fact Dale DeGroff was mentioning that, you know, it's hard to say, but then again, maybe things will go back to normal, remove the social distancing, because yeah, it's how people work, it's how the world works. We've always been social animals to begin with. So we need touching people. We need to touch. We need to drink. We need to laugh with a buddy. We need to hug. You know. So yeah. But it's a matter of when and what the government of each country implements. So okay, maybe one last question. Let's browse through everybody. Okay, guys, one last question before we call it a day. Shout out to Shalom. He's from Singapore, working with William Grant and Son. He's also Filipino. Who else is here? Yeah, and we have some students also.
Awesome.
Yep. Okay, so maybe my last question is: have you ever given a talk to university students? I mean, yeah, have you ever?
No, I
Not yet.
haven't. No,
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think here in the US it's kind of tricky because not everybody's at drinking age.
Oh yeah. Yours is 21, 23, I
20,
think.
21, yeah. And
Yeah.
so like people in college, it's like 18 to 22. So it's like a weird subject. Yeah.
Yep. Well, how about photography? How about cocktail photography? I think well, that's basically your media. Because here we were talking, we're playing with the idea of cocktail photography, like inviting photographers in a bar and then making them take a picture of the cocktail that they made themselves, you know, and posting it in a Instagram account. So yeah, I think that would be good. Well, anyway, it's just something, maybe future thing that I might invite you again if you have the time. So I guess that's it. We don't really have questions anymore, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they will go through this video again through our Facebook page. So again, do you can we ask a final words from you?